actually, while I was still at MIT, I started my first startup. It was called 𝘮𝘰𝘮, along with 4 other co-founders. And what we built at the time was what you can now think of as a very earlier version of Siri, meaning we did voice recognition on devices so that you could interact with your devices using voice as well as text. But this was like back in 2000, well before 3G, which was the most exciting thing at the time, well before iPhones and so on. So we built our first startup, but we were entirely too early to market. So our company was acquired, but we didn't get a huge payout out of it at all. But that was the start of my entrepreneurial journey. And what I realized is that, it's this entrepreneurial mindset that you carry into every kind of a role. And so from there to other startups that I've worked at, or even large companies, my role was always entrepreneurial, even within larger companies where we were launching a new product or creating a new product or growing it. And then finally, this entrepreneurial journey brought me to Radical Product Thinking, which is the book that was published in September 2021, so last year. Radical Product Thinking is really about how do we create change in the world through our products. And that is really kind of the essence of product thinking, but also of being an entrepreneur.
There are so many points that I want to respond back to. And from what I gather, you sort of headed out to the US in 1995. And
Yes.
That would have been around the time when I was in the US, about 1992 in the beginning, when I was there for the exchange program. And then later in 1995, when I'd gotten married. The US at that point was at the cusp of this whole World Wide Web and the technologies that were coming out of. And in early 2000, I started my first startup company. And it was a phenomenal journey because in 12 months, we had raised millions of dollars. We were looking at listing the company. And I had at one point thought I was going to be a billionaire then. And then I ended up a year later, actually liquidating the company because 2 things had happened. One was there were some issues within the company that I had to sort of confront was inconsistent with my own value system. The second part was, of course, the dot-com crash was also happening. The failure was really also a good lesson for me because, when you go into a business and you expect it to succeed, it's a different kind of journey. And when you go into a business and eventually you fail, it's a different kind of experience as well. And I often wondered at that time, what was I ever going to do with my life? And when I look back now, I see that, entrepreneurship was a way of life and it was not just that destination or that company. And it's sort of something that you're saying.